What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise Postgame show. The Blazers tonight drop a game in Atlanta. It snaps their 4-game winning streak that they had going into this game. Tough night, second night of a back-to-back. You heard all the excuses throughout the broadcast in this one. The team flies into Atlanta at 3:30 in the morning. There's a tornado at 10:30 in the morning, and definitely messed up with their sleep. And I feel like, that's going to have some sort of effect on the team, and you saw it today, but the issues that the Blazers displayed on the court can't be fully explained away with the excuses with the sleep and yada, 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 all right? And I'm going to get into exactly why the Blazers struggled tonight and exactly why those issues can't simply be explained away with excuses. There was the key to this game, Eric. I think the thing that summarizes this game for the Blazers was extremely poor defense. And the reason they had extremely poor defense was mostly due to mental lapses. Now, a lot of people would like to say, of course, they didn't get much rest. They're coming in second night of a back-to-back. That explains the mental lapses they had in this game. But the fact that the mental lapses didn't get fixed, the fact that they didn't improve, I thought was an issue that can't be explained away with an excuse. The fact that Derrick Jones Jr., Nasir Little, and Rondae Hollis-Jefferson continued to ride the bench and would have been fresh coming into this game. They didn't play last night, but still they don't get a chance until essentially garbage time. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson gets a couple minutes before then, but none of those guys get a chance, even though our defense was pretty horrific for stretches in this game. Is also something that can't be excused with the excuses that people are tossing out there right now for this one. Also, we're going to have to talk about the minutes and Dame being ran into the ground. He ends up getting injured late in this game, stays in the game for a little bit, but we're going to have to monitor his status going forward because that did not look like a good play. It kind of reminded you of CJ's play against the Hawks a few months ago. So that is the three main topics I want to talk about. Eric, what are your how do you feel about this game? Is it disappointment? Is it frustration? Are you mad at some things that happened? How would you summarize just kind of the feel of this game for you?
Well, I want to preface this by saying, obviously, no team goes 82-0, so you're going to lose some games. You're going to have some games where you don't show up or whatever. But this was the fifth game in 7 nights, all on the road. You mentioned the lack of sleep as well. We're playing basically an 8-man rotation, playing our starters heavy into the 30 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. This is the type of game. There is no excuse for energy and mental lapses, in my opinion, when you play your starters that many minutes. And they only didn't play the same amount of minutes they've been playing every game up until this point because Stotts decided to pull the chute, and the last 5 minutes was the bench. So if you added 5 minutes to every one of those players, which would have been in a close game, we're talking about a situation where you have a bunch of defensive young energy guys on the bench, and we didn't give them a chance to see if a little bit of energy and youth injected into this game might have made a difference when the effort is lacking. And you obviously see it at the last few minutes. You can say that's garbage time all you want, but the Hawks kept their starters in until the very last second, and the bench actually played really well as our third string against their starters. And they were flying around on defense. They were pushing the ball up the court, getting layups with our bigs, dribbling the ball up the court, making plays all over the place, taking the ball to the rack, not settling for three-pointers, stuff like that. And, so it's puzzling to me that we'd stick with an 8-man rotation. I think this is one of the reasons why I don't like the coaching at all, is because we run our players into the ground. We don't give anyone a chance to show anything outside of that 8-man rotation when it could have mattered in this game still. And I'm just frustrated with that because this was the perfect night to give Derrick Jones Jr. back some minutes, to give Nas a chance to get back. to play in a little bit and maybe not necessarily rejoin the rotation, but just give those guys that are playing major minutes just a little bit of a break because it was obvious they didn't have it fully tonight. And then you play them all heavy minutes in the first half. Once again, Dame plays 19 minutes and 35 seconds in the first half, meaning if he plays the whole third quarter before the fourth quarter has even started, he's almost at 32 minutes in this game. And when he's hobbled and banged up, and if this game would have been close, he would have played almost the whole fourth quarter, so he would have been over 40 minutes in this one. Mm-hmm. And that's just unacceptable considering Dame's health level right now and how he's trying to fight through all these things going into the season. And I know his injury wasn't like due to overuse or anything like that, but what do you expect is going to happen if you continue to try and play him 40 minutes a game when he's like can barely move up and down the court in some cases? And he got hurt earlier, was limping around, and then banged knees at one point, took a couple hard falls, like all this stuff. Like we're just reckless with our stars, and I just don't like it at all. I think that's just the wrong thing. If this was a scheduled loss, like I heard some people say, you should have played some of the younger guys more minutes then and just treated it that way.
Yeah, I mean,
and they might have surprised you too.
Yeah, I mean, the third stringers look good. Our big men were just Euro stepping on people, man. TJ Leaf and Harry Giles just Euro stepping on people. But yeah, that's the narrative that I just don't get. You know, it's a scheduled loss, and these guys gotta be exhausted. They played last night, heavy minutes. Well, you know, if that's the case, and sure, I can agree with some of that, then those people that are saying those things should have a problem with Stotts playing Dame 40 minutes if this game is close, which is what would have happened, playing CJ heavy minutes. You know what I mean? It's like if those guys are so exhausted because of the situation, because of how much they played last night, then it makes zero sense not to loosen up the rotation a little bit, keep those guys' minutes a little bit lower so hopefully they can maintain some sort of freshness throughout the game, and then play somebody who will bring energy, who didn't play last night, who is fresh. And then especially when the defense is as terrible as it was today, lacking energy, but not just that, the mental mistakes defensively in this game were monumental. As many mental mistakes, silly mental mistakes in this game as I've seen maybe any game defensively all season long. If that's the case, you got a Nasir Little on the bench who's fresh. He hasn't played in a while, outside of maybe a couple garbage minutes. He can play defense. Sub him into the game. Same thing goes for Derrick Jones Jr. Same thing goes for Rondae Hollis Jefferson. But other than Rondae Hollis Jefferson playing a couple minutes, which I'm not really sure why he's above Derrick Jones Jr. in the rotation, but it seems like he is. Outside of him playing a couple minutes there in the third quarter, those guys didn't play at all. So I have a problem with that. It doesn't really make sense how you can blame, you can excuse things away with, oh, these guys are tired. They played a lot of minutes last night, and they flew in the morning and didn't get much sleep. But then also not have a problem with the fact that we're still playing an 8-man rotation and playing those guys heavy minutes in the second night in a row, given that situation. You have depth on this team that can be played, that can be impactful, but we don't use it in a situation like this, you know? So I don't understand how you can use the situation as an excuse, but then not have a problem with how we responded to the situation coaching-wise with some of the minutes that we gave players. So I had a big problem with the rotations tonight. I thought Derrick Jones Jr. deserves some minutes. I think you rest those guys a little bit more. If it's a schedule loss, then no need to run Dame into the ground, right? It doesn't really make sense. So you'll have people that'll throw out those excuses, but then also won't have a problem with how this game was managed. I think, given the situation, this game was very poorly mismanaged by Terry Stotts.
Yeah, and then I also hope that it's not a situation that we've seen plenty of times over the last 2 years where they win a few games, they start feeling themselves and think they're back to not having to do all the things that got them to this point. And this is just a constant worry for me with Terry Stotts at the helm, that they're just going to revert back to this ISO ball, no lack of effort flying around on defense, poor assignments, poor knowledge of where to help off of and where to bring the weak side help from, which player
Yeah.
to not help off of. Those
Well,
kind of things are a constant worry for me, and they reared their ugly head again tonight after they had been pretty good for the last few games.
yeah, well, I like the whole situation thing. I understand why their energy wouldn't be top notch in this
Right,
game. You
right.
know what I mean? So I'm willing to give them a little bit of a pass, but there's certain things that happened on the court tonight that you don't give a pass due to their situation. The first thing I want to talk about, Eric, I don't know if I've ever seen a team make so many threes simply because we were mispositioned one pass away.
Yep.
Horribly mispositioned one pass away. It's not like, they're running us in transition and we're struggling to get back and then they're getting threes out of it, or they're running a guy off a screen and he's catching, shooting, and hitting threes like that. We gave up a ton of threes simply because we were too far away from a shooter that was one pass away from the ball. Okay, when you're one pass away from the ball, you generally want to be on that guy. Some coaches and some systems will even have you deny one pass away. But numerous times in this game, the guy that was defending one pass away was 10 feet off that guy. It is so easy to simply say, oh, Bogdanovic is right here. He's already hit 5 threes this half. His defender is 10 feet off him. Okay, pass to Bogdanovic, open 3. That was literally how he got going in the first half. In the second half, you had Rocco twice in a row play too far off of Danilo Gallinari, and he hits 2 threes. You had Norman Powell play too far off of John Collins when John Collins just sitting in the corner, and he gets an open 3 out of it. It was so mind-boggling how many times the Blazers gave up open threes simply because they were too far off one pass away. Now, everything that they've gone through, if they come into this game and they're like not mentally locked in and they're making mistakes like that, okay, yeah, you don't want to see that. You got an issue with that. But, maybe that's a situation. What I don't understand is how that didn't improve at all throughout the entire game. I get that the players might be tired and might be a little mentally fatigued, but it is such a basic thing to simply just guard your guy when he's one pass away that the excuses that people are throwing out for this game don't apply to that, okay? That situation should not have you so spent mentally that you can't stay close to your guy when you're one pass away, okay? And if you're that spent mentally that you can't do that, then somebody else should be subbed in that might have a chance mentally to say, oh, I'm guarding a guy one pass away. I shouldn't be 10 feet off of him. Okay, and then that goes back to the fact that, oh, you get Nas not playing, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson not playing, Derrick Jones Jr. not playing. I bet you throw those guys in and they won't make that mistake more than once. They're fresh and they're good defenders and they know what to do out there. And you put those guys out there, yeah, maybe you have a chance of holding them enough defensively where you're able to stay in the game when you're basically staying in the game because Damian Lillard is just hitting a bunch of shots. So that was one of my issues that the excuses don't really work for. I don't know if Terry Stotts was telling these guys that they were playing too far off the ball one pass away. If he wasn't telling those guys that they're playing too far off the ball one pass away, then that's just a horrible failure on his part. If he was telling those guys that they're playing too far off one pass away, then the team simply wasn't listening to him in this game. Either way, that's a problem with the coaching. Sure, the players are responsible for where they position themselves and how they defend, but either Stotts isn't telling them the right thing or they're not listening to him, because there's no reason and no excuse that explains why they saw themselves get 3 after 3 after 3 hit on them due to the same mistake and then not improve upon that mistake.
Yeah, and so what's not 19 so the problem with denying the shooters is the low post players will get lit up when the perimeter players cut. They weren't really killing us inside at all. Same with last game against Boston. They hardly had any paint points. This is a case of us basically giving up threes and defending the paint when we don't really have to. You have to guard Capella. You have to make sure Trey doesn't have those little floaters. But outside of that, they don't have anyone that can score inside. So
yeah, I'm not saying deny the shooters. I'm saying don't play 10 feet off them. There is a big area between denying a shooter and playing 10 feet off him.
Well, so when I don't want to equate this to me. I'm not saying I'm an NBA level player, but when I'm on defense, if I'm guarding the best player I know we're in trouble on defense because, like, I'm better as a help defender, right? It's like I should be helping the best our another defender guard the best player, right? Not trying to match him and then I can't ever leave him, right? But that's the problem when you're guarding a guy who's hit like it was like 5 of 7.5, or Gallinari in the second half. Who knows what he shot? It felt like he was like 10 for 20 or something. I don't know, but like you can't leave those guys. Like you can be a step away from them, but you have to be within distance. And you hear that all the time. Like, okay, if you're guarding this person, you are not the helper. You have to be the guy that stays home on your shooter. If we're gonna let like whoever it was, a Kongwu or someone else beat us, like that's fine. But like, does the Kongwu even shoot in this game? Like, why are we like trying to guard the paint when he's in the game and Gallinari's out there just chucking threes? Like why do we even care what a Kongwu's doing? It just drives me crazy when, like how hot this guy was, Bogdanovic in particular, coming into this game. He has been blazing the nets for the last month or so. And we're just like leaving him wide open to help off in situations where they don't even really need to help that much, because I felt like we were defending the pick and roll action fairly well in the first half. We didn't need to help that much, and it's just frustrating that we'd revert back to that. And then if you are struggling with effort and stuff, like you said, there are guys on the bench that can help with that. So bring them in the game and see if they can make a difference. It's like you don't want to leave shooters open in those situations. I'd much rather give up 2-pointers, and we would have probably stayed in the game if we didn't give up 23 pointers in this one.
Yep. And you had media basically trying to use the fact that we're playing far too off guys one pass away and turn it into, see, all those of you who want the team to double team, this is what happens. Okay, you had a tweet from Mike Richmond that said, feel like that first half in Atlanta is a case study for Portland double team enthusiasts. Blazers consistently sent 2 at Trae Young, and Bogey had 4,000 points. Obviously, you want to both double plus recover, but there are limits. And this is just kind of a media topic a little bit, but you had people agreeing with this, and you have a lot of people that are basically, I don't know, this tweet to me just reads out as somebody trying to make a point against people who want Terry Stotts to be more creative with his pick and roll schemes. I'm not asking for the guy one pass away to just completely leave Bogdanovic and go and double team the ball. When have I ever asked for that, Eric? That is not what we're talking about. It's like we ask for Terry Stotts to trap and hedge the pick and roll. Okay? Then the Blazers come out here, and in non-pick and roll situations, the guy guarding Bogdanovic is 10 feet off him standing in the paint, and they pass to Bogdanovic, and he makes a 3. And then you have a media guy like Mike Richmond try and say, this is a case study for you guys that want them to double team the pick and roll. Like, that's not even what's happening, okay? And that's the problem with media, is they try and make points that sound smart. You if you don't know any better and you read that tweet, it's like, oh, it sounds like he kind of knows what he's talking about. But that's not what's happening out there on the basketball court. Not at all. That's not what the Blazers were doing. When they hedged and trapped a little bit on the pick and roll, they did a okay job of kind of containing Trae Young. Now, he had his moments, and there were stretches where he was able to get into the paint with absolutely no resistance, but there was also some good moments defending the pick and roll, especially just one possession early in this game where Nurkic kind of hard showed, hedged, and just contained Trae Young. Point guard gets back, Nurkic gets back to his guy, and it was one of the best pick and roll defensive possessions that I've seen in recent times from the Blazers. You know what I mean? That wasn't what was giving up the open threes. It was a simple play, is like they're running down at the end of the first quarter, and CJ McCollum is guarding, I think it was CJ or Dame is guarding Bogdanovic in the corner, and there's already 3 Blazer defenders in the paint, but the guy guarding Bogdanovic is also in the paint, 20 feet off him, while Trae Young drives. You don't need 4 guys to help into the paint when Trae Young is driving, okay? Trae Young kicks out to Bogdanovic, wide open 3, splash. It wasn't double teaming the pick and roll, and nobody was asking for the Blazers to double team from one pass away. Nobody was ever asking for that. So that was a tweet that annoyed me, and a take that some people had.
And I want to say 2 things to that. The first is we hear all the time this team doesn't have any time to practice or work on things, right? So if we're trying something new, and it's like one of the first times we've done it, this Trae Young's one of the more dynamic guards we've played in a while in terms of like his usage rate and always having the ball and always doing pick and rolls or ISOs and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is like the Terry Stotts excuse. Oh, we tried it, it didn't work. What are we supposed to do? It's like, okay, you tried it in a game. Like, it's not just going to work in game like 70 in the season or whatever it is. Like, you have to work on it. And this is why Tori and I stressed so much earlier in the season why you have to work on these things all year. So when you get to this point, you're locked in on defense and you're not worried about the wrong guy helping in those situations and all that. And if you are working on that throughout the season, watching film the way you're supposed to, that should be locked in right now. That shouldn't be a situation where we're talking about how many like mental lapses we had in this game. And then my second point is I felt like the first like 5 minutes of this game, Nurk actually did an excellent job like showing on those picks. And Trae Young did not get going in the first part of the first quarter when he was in, and then he got subbed out. And then it was all their secondary guys that we were just leaving open for no reason. And Nurk was in position almost every time, and the help still came, like you said. And that's just the wrong thing to do. And I know it's like habit because we're so used to the help having to come from everyone, right? But that's what we're talking about as to why we're so frustrated that we haven't seen this defense all year, because we'd just be so much more fluid and we wouldn't have these minor mistakes that cost you games right now. If we had been working on it we should have been working on it for years, not just the last few days. But like I saw situations. So obviously Melo had like a good first half offensively, right? But he had some of the worst defensive possessions I've ever seen in this game.
Can I bring up the first one? Bro.
The first one is bad, but that's not even the one I was going to talk about. Hey, but go ahead.
The first one I want to bring up, bro, is him thinking Solomon Hill is more of a threat from 60 feet away from the basket than a guy running down the court when Carmelo Anthony is the safety and supposed to be the first guy back. Dame misses a free throw. Was that the end of the first or the second quarter? I think it was end of the first quarter.
Yeah.
And then Bogdanovich's three was like end of the second quarter or something. Yeah. End of the first quarter, man, Dame misses a free throw, kind of fluky, whatever. They hit the outlet, which is Solomon Hill, and Melo is the like last guy of defense. And instead of like staying back, around the rim, protecting the rim, he comes up and guards Solomon Hill 60 feet away from the basket. Guy streaks right behind him for a dunk. I'm sure you guys know what play I'm talking about. There
was no one within like 30 feet of
him. Dude, that was one of the worst defensive mental mistakes that I've seen of the entire season, okay? And I don't know, like, I feel like some people out there didn't realize how bad of a mental mistake that was. You're the safety. You don't go and guard Solomon Hill 60 feet away from the rim and allow another guy to streak down for a dunk. That's just common sense, dude. That was ridiculously bad.
Yeah, and so the plays I was going to refer to, so I'm just pointing this out for Melo this game. Every player on this team seems to do stuff like this at times, so it's not even just like me bashing on Melo or blaming him for all our problems, but there was twice where he was guarding Gallinari. Someone screened, and Nurk gave him plenty of room to get through. He had plenty of time to get through to Gallinari, and he just stopped there and stood there. And then Nurk's like, are you going to go? Are you going to go? And then like, oh crap. So Nurk has to run out, and it looks like Nurk wasn't guarding Gallinari, and he gets a three. And that's just the really poor effort on defense and laziness that we couldn't afford to have in a game like this where they're lighting us up from three. And then there was a couple possessions where Melo was running down the court with Nurk, and he would just inexplicably take a Kongwu and leave Nurk to guard Gallinari when they were both right there, and they could have easily like switched and been on the right person. And then like Nurk has to guard Gallinari, and of course he hits like a step back 3-pointer on him a couple times or whatever. But like that's not necessarily Nurk's fault. He's getting put in those positions to have to cover for people just being kind of lazy. And like I said, it happens with Dame, it happens with CJ, it happens with all these guys. It's not just Melo, but in particular, there was 4 or 5 plays that I noticed from Melo tonight that really stood out to me. And that's what we're talking about when, yes, like these guys can light it up offensively most nights, but if they're not bringing it on defense, I think it's a good idea to send a message no matter who you are on this team. If you're Damian Lillard or Melo or Cantor or whatever, like it's not acceptable to have these lapses on top of not being a great defender. So like if you're a bad defender, but you're giving your all out there, that's one thing. Like we can live with that, right? We can play you if you're shooting well on offense and giving us some on that end and trying your best on that end. But it's the plays where you just give up or die on screens and don't even try to fight through them. What were we just talking about last game about them being one of the turning points in this season was them actually fighting through those screens, and they did a terrible job of that tonight and just resorted back to their old style of just letting the offense just screen one time and taking them completely out of what they wanted to do.
Yep, and Melo fans, when Melo has a great plus-minus, want me to bring it up and freak out if I don't, so I'm going to start bringing up plus-minus with Carmelo Anthony again. I don't think it's a surprise that he was a minus 17 in 22 minutes. Defensively, it was rough, and he shot the ball well, but I'm not expecting him to be a good defender. I'm not even expecting him to be an average defender. He just needs to be good enough that when he has a shooting game like this, he's helping the team overall. But the problem is, he had a solid shooting game. He's 3 for 6 from 3. He was 2 for 5 from 2. But it was a 14 points, 11 shots. Only shot 1 free throw. I mean, genuinely decently efficient scoring night from him. But he was so bad defensively, and it wasn't just him, it was the rest of the team, but just if we're talking about Carmelo Anthony, he was so bad defensively that he's hurting the team, even though he's shooting the ball well, because of a number of the mistakes, a number of the possessions that we pointed out. And it's not just sitting out here searching for things to critique Melo for, we're breaking down actual plays. And Eric has been, in my opinion, more than fair to Carmelo Anthony this year, and he's bringing up plays that Melo was making some serious mistakes on. It's just those types of mistakes, when people see that happen, it kind of sets the tone a little bit. So that's
congrats to Melo for getting top 10 all time, though. That's
congrats to Melo for top 10. It's just you got some defensive players with energy out there. I wish if he has a couple possessions where he's just making boneheaded, lazy mistakes, that he just gets subbed out for Derrick Jones Jr. You know what I mean? That's what, if Melo wasn't Carmelo Anthony, he probably would be being subbed out for a couple of these mistakes if we had a coach that held players accountable and Carmelo Anthony didn't have the legacy he does. But since he does, he gets a free pass, and it gets frustrating.
And for the record, Dame, despite playing heavy minutes, once again, how many points did Bogdanovich have at halftime? Was it 23, I think?
23.
How many points did he have in the second half?
2.
2 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who was guarding him most of the second half?
Damian Lillard has stepped up on defense lately.
Switched on to Bogdanovich and treated him like he was Tatum from last night and completely shut him down in the second half. And that's one of the reasons what I'm talking about. So the message should have been sent earlier into the season, even to Dame, because he was not playing with that sort of intensity, that sort of mindset on defense earlier in the season. And that's been a turning point in his game in particular, is him bringing it on the defensive end now too. But he wasn't great in the first half of this one either. But that's the difference between a guy showing on the court that he's going to be giving his all on that end versus a guy who's just kind of lollygagging at times on there, and we can't have the lollygaggers right now. We need the guys who are more like what Dame was showing by example in the second half of this one, and we just can't have defensive lapses. Our defense is not good enough to have guys out there that fall asleep or aren't trying to fight through picks.
Yeah, well, Eric, if the excuses that people are throwing out there, they would apply to Damian Lillard more than they'd apply to anybody else on this team. So the fact that he, in the second half, stepped up with more effort and energy than anybody else on the court kind of shows you that those excuses shouldn't be excuses, okay? Because it wasn't an excuse for Dame, even though it probably applies to Dame more than anybody on this team because he has to do more than anybody. He's more banged up and injured than anybody else out there on the court. He played 39 minutes last night. He played more than 19 minutes in the first half. Yet he comes out in the second half, pays attention to detail, even though he's not a good defender, and steps up defensively. Bogdanovic scores 2 points in the second half after 23 in the first half. If he can do it, everybody else should be able to do it. So that sort of excuse doesn't apply if it doesn't apply to Dame. It doesn't apply to anybody else if it doesn't apply to Dame. And Dame showed today that it didn't apply to him. So that's why I'm not buying it.
Yep. Completely agree. NBA Forever brings something up. Is that from Stotts' interview? Because I want to watch that if that's what he said.
I mean, I assume that's correct. That sounds like Stotts, you know.
I would like to have a conversation about that after listening to the interview later.
Yeah, we can listen to
let's get to these two donos real quick. I took pictures, unless you have them still.
Shout out Shaggy Squid for the $10 Australian dono. Says, Rocco let 30 points on open threes be dropped on him. Giles will leave in the offseason due to lack of opportunity while we give defensive liability Canner all the bench minutes. Nas is a DNP type now? ? Okay. Rocco... you're over-exaggerating with the 30 points on open threes being dropped on him. There was a number of guys on this team that made as many mistakes as Rocco did. Rocco had two that stood out in my mind, and those were back-to-back threes from Gallinari there in the second half. There was probably a possession or two in the first half too, but that was the case with everybody, you know? I feel like that's being a little bit too harsh on Rocco in particular, but he definitely didn't have one of his normal good defensive games. Would you agree with that, Eric?
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. If you're seeing that on the floor, having someone kind of struggle a little bit, especially on the defensive end, that maybe it just say, hey, Rocco, I know you've been playing big minutes lately. He's one of those guys who's been playing 38 minutes a game over this last stretch. Just go to him and say, "Hey, we got you tonight. We're gonna play 20 minutes or something. But just let's let one of the guys who have a little bit more energy and that kind of stuff bring it tonight, and just see what happens. I mean, we lost anyway, so what would it have mattered if we gave another guy an opportunity? And once again. It doesn't matter who it is if they're not showing that effort, or I don't think it was a lack of effort necessarily from Rocco, but he was out of position a lot. Got hit on threes. We talked about this before. How it seems like he always gets threes hit in his face and stuff. I mean, just throw in Nas or Derek Jones and let them have a shot at it and just see what happens. You don't always have to keep relying on these guys night in and night out, especially in the fifth game of 7 nights.
Yeah, I will say this. He had 3 steals on the block. The team combined the team had 11 steals and blocks, and Rocco had 4 of them. He had 3 steals on a block. So he did make some good defensive plays. He had some defensive mistakes, but pretty much everybody on this team had defensive mistakes today.
That's for sure.
He had a good game. He was 3 for 5 from 3, had 4 assists. 4 out of our 25 assists, 5 boards, 3 steals, a block. Defensively, I wouldn't say necessarily it was a good game. Offensively, I'd say it was a pretty good game from him. He definitely wasn't the biggest issue in this game. As far as Giles goes, that dude's gone. And I said that before the season. I was like, I'm surprised we signed this guy because I feel like he's not going to get enough of a chance and he's not going to be happy with that. And then he's just going to leave at the end of the season and go somewhere where he can't get a chance. Bro, he comes into this game and starts handling the ball like CJ McCollum. All right? Bro, do you see him handle the ball?
That at all, though.
Dude, I know he didn't go anywhere, but just the way he handled the ball, just on that little, double crossover move he pulled out right when he got into the game, just is not normal for a guy who's his height, you know? That was, he has a Euro step. He is so underrated by this fan base. He can pass the ball. People wouldn't know it from his time here, but he can pass the ball. He, can throw a lot of the passes that Nurkic throws. All right. Defensively, I feel like he has the potential to be good. He certainly has he's mobile, decently athletic, solid size. He has the potential to be a solid, maybe even a good defender. Offensively, he's a guy who can shoot. He had a mid-range jumper in this one. He can handle the ball. He can pass. It's kind of sad that he hasn't really gotten a consistent chance. And when he did get a little bit of a chance earlier this season, he was stuck in an offense that was just completely stagnant, isolation heavy, and he didn't know how to. He wasn't able to fit into it. It was kind of the Melo isolation show for the stretch where he played. Melo basically during that stretch was isolating more than he had all season long. So I felt like he was never able to get comfortable, never utilized right here. And yeah, I think he'll be gone this offseason.
And what do you know? They get stops and push the ball up the court, and all these guys look great. Like, a big surprise. I would have never guessed that, right? I would have never guessed that, like, doing that instead of, like, grabbing a rebound and slowly passing to Dame and walking the ball up the court and then not even running Giles through the offense, and then everyone saying, oh, he can't play because he just looks lost out there. Like, yeah, that's all on Giles. Such a horrible player, man. He's trash. He can't do anything out there. It drives me crazy. Like, this team, I feel like if they just push the tempo a little bit, would get so much easier shots. And we always go back to the ISO crap in it. I mean, Dame hit some threes tonight and kept us in the game, but like, I mean, it would just be so much easier if we did stuff like that and we utilized a player like Giles in that type of offense that was more free-flowing.
Yeah. So I hope he gets a chance somewhere where he gets to play, and then it'll be like, wow, look how good he's doing. It'll kind of be like Moses Brown this year, but maybe to a much
but Stotts couldn't play him this year because he looked lost.
Yeah. I mean, well, coach him up so he's not lost, I mean, just an idea. But as far as Nas goes and him not playing, man, I mean, I think he's been yanked around so much. We haven't seen him comfortable here yet. I would love to see him comfortable here. Hopefully next season he's able to get a consistent, defined role and able to grow into it, because he gets upgraded over Anthony Simons and plays some shooting guard one game, and then the next game he doesn't play. After Stotts is saying, yeah, he's been promoted, and then he doesn't play the next game. He's been yanked around a lot, and it's hard for a young guy like that to get comfortable when his role and minutes are being toyed around with so much. So hopefully next year he's able to get a consistent role, because I feel like we haven't truly seen what he's capable of yet.
And here's why I don't like, I mean, it's hard to question the 8-man rotation before tonight just because, like, it was working, I guess. But when Nas has a good game and you hear his coach say, yeah, we've promoted him to the backup shooting guard and we're going to try that for a while, and then you don't play the next game or don't even get a chance, or you play like 4 minutes and then you get taken out if you make one mistake or whatever, that's not a promotion. And that's, to me, you're basically telling someone they have to be perfect when they come in, or you're going to be back on the bench for weeks. And I don't like doing that with players. I like if they've earned a role and you're actually saying you're going to promote him because he's earned it through both his play and probably his practice and that kind of stuff. Actually give him a legit chance. It's the same thing with Giles earlier in the season when before he got hurt, and then after he came back right before Nurk did. Like, there was some time where you could have given that guy a chance to become a more comfortable part of the rotation. So of course he's not going to come back in and out and in and out and in and out and be like 100% locked into these games or perfect out there. And then if he's not, he just gets pulled right out of the game. So like, I think that's a bad message to send some of these players when, but like, he gets credit for always being a good developmental coach, but I don't like that kind of style of developing players.
Yep. Shout out Play-by-Play for a $5 donut. Says, crazy how we tried absolutely nothing to try and stop Bogdanovic and Gallo. Just let them continuously get open looks. I hope Dame is okay, though, man. Facepalm. Appreciate the donut Play-by-Play. It wasn't even necessarily something scheme-wise we had to try. We just had to stop being almost brain dead defensively and playing 10 feet off those guys when we were one pass away from them. That's all we had to do was get a little closer to him when we're one pass away. It's like, it's such a basic thing. It was so frustrating to see them hit 3 after 3 after 3 because of that. Like, I understand, if guys are making mistakes with rotations where they don't know which guy to run out to and they're getting mixed up in communication on that. You don't want that to happen, and that shouldn't continuously happen, but like, at least that's a little more explainable than like, yeah, you guys are just completely leaving the guy one pass away. There's just no explanation for that. I still just can't wrap my head around how many threes they hit because of that. Very frustrating, man.
No, it's the same guy too. That's what's so frustrating. Like, if you like have like different guys and they like take turns and like 6 different people hit a 3, then maybe you can say, okay, like we're trying to do the right thing, but when it's the same guy, just don't leave that guy. Like that's what that's what like a coach should be out there screaming in every timeout, like in the first half, like, don't ever leave Bogdanovic. If I see one person get more than 3 feet away from him, you're going to the bench or something. And same with Bogdanovic in the first half. Like, that's how I would treat it. Like, if you're guarding that guy and I see you not within an arm's length away from guarding him on the perimeter, then you're getting your foot on the bench, because I don't want them to get another single open 3 this half. If they hit like a 3 with you in their face, that's one thing. But like, if you get caught over helping and your guy gets a 3, you're going to the bench. And I just wish he would send that message and just bring in guys who will listen to him, because either he's not sending that message or the guys aren't listening. Either way, that's a problem in my opinion.
Yep, I agree with that. Got some NBA games coming down to the wire. We'll have those scores for you once they are final, at least the 2 that are late in the 4th, because they're relevant for picks against the spread. Actually, I don't even want to talk about picks against the spread, because you've gained, 2 games on me today?
No. Oh, yeah, 2.
You picked Orlando and you picked Atlanta.
Yep.
I knew I should have picked Atlanta.
The
one time I picked the Blazers.
Chat had Orlando too, but they had the Blazers, and then but Chat did get a game on all of us with their island with taking the Warriors.
Yep. So not a good day for me so far. The rest of our picks were the same, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, my double down Philly.
You got your double down. That's big.
Yeah, Philly's almost about to choke this for me. So we'll go over some scores after things go final. The one relevant game is halfway through the second quarter. That's Denver versus the Lakers, and Denver is up 34-31. Lakers without LeBron James, I think it will be possible to pass them. I mean, honestly, in the long run, if we're 6th or 5th, I mean, like, I want to be 5th or 6th and play the Nuggets in the first round. Okay? So if the Nuggets can beat the Lakers, makes it more likely they get the 3 seed, makes it more likely we're able to be ahead of the Lakers. Maybe this loss isn't a bad thing. Maybe it keeps us in 6th at the end of the season and keeps us in a first round matchup against Denver instead of maybe becoming the 5th seed and having to play the Clippers. I mean, maybe that's the silver lining from this one, Eric.
Yep, and I'm looking at it this way. Tonight, yes, this sucked to lose, but if we're going to lose a game in the next 3, this is probably the one that was okay to lose.
Mm-hmm.
You do not want to lose to Cleveland and blow an opportunity as your one easy game you have left on your schedule, right? And then the game on Friday against the Lakers is one of the most important games regular season wise in a long time for the Blazers. They have to win that game, especially if LeBron doesn't play. Yeah. So the next 2 games are crucial to the Blazers avoiding the 7th seed. If they lose one or both of those, then I'm back to thinking they're going to be fighting for a play-in spot versus possibly 5th or 6th. If they win both of them, they set themselves up for a nice ending of the season, in my opinion, to where they can just kind of tread and win a few of the games, not have to win all of them, and still possibly get one of the 5th or 6th seeds.
Yeah, I will say this. The 2 games after that Lakers game isn't too difficult. You got San Antonio, about 500 team, and then Houston. So Cleveland is...
Yeah, I forgot Houston.
Yeah, those are the two easy games left on our schedule is Cleveland.
We are one of Houston's only wins after they traded Harden this year, though.
Facts, but they were playing okay right after they traded him. I don't know why. And then they just fell off
Christian
a
Wood
cliff.
got hurt, and then they lost every game without him, and then he came back, and it didn't really matter, but yeah.
Yeah, now they got Kelly Olynyk killing it, former Gonzaga Bulldog legend. So yeah, you got this Cleveland game. Hopefully this is a game that we don't have to... Hopefully we can get Dame a little bit of rest, because we're playing a ton of games. You got a game on the 5th, a game on the 7th, a game on the 8th, a game on the 10th, a game on the 12th, a game on the 13th, and then we get 2 days off before our final games. So it is pretty jam-packed. We literally have, today's the 3rd, in the next 10 days or so, we have 6 games. I think we have 6 games in 9 days, 5th to the 13th. So would have been nice to not run Dame into the ground tonight, but they ended up doing so. What else do you want to talk about from this game, or have we pretty much covered anything? Everything?
I think we covered most of it. Simons, unfortunately, picked a bad time to have one of his worst games in a while. I thought defensively he was okay, though, but offensively, he obviously struggled. Yeah, I mean, I just like the effort of that third unit. Props to them for coming in and challenging him a little bit. And if Giles hits that 3, man, that would have been interesting. With I think there was close to 2 minutes left, or we would have cut it to 8. But yeah, still proud of those guys in the last few minutes for battling tough and not giving up there. And yeah, hopefully we now have a day off between games, and we're playing a really bad team. I would like to see Dame not play 19 minutes in the first half against Cleveland, and hopefully keep his minutes down around 30 instead of 38, 39. And hopefully we just take care of business. We've been fairly good against bad teams since about the middle of the season, but yeah, I don't want that to change anytime soon.
Yeah, the Cavs will also be on the second night of a back-to-back, so all the excuses we're using tonight might...
Same with the Lakers on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, some of them might apply to those teams. They play Phoenix tomorrow, so it's not like they're going to be ran into the ground, because they'll probably lose by 30. But you're talking about a Cavs team, going into this Phoenix game, they've lost 9 out of their last 10. Their only win being over Chicago. They lost by 29 to Washington. They lost by 5 to Orlando. They lost by 16 to Toronto. They lost by 9 to Washington. They lost to Charlotte without Hayward and LaMelo Ball. They just lost by 17 to Miami. So this is a Cavs team that is playing some of the worst basketball in the league. I saw a $5 donation from Mills Woj says we should sit Dame next game, and I'd be down for that. Get him some rest. This is a game we should win. If we don't win this game without Dame, we don't even deserve to be in the playoffs. They've been so bad. We still have so much talent on the floor. I don't know. I mean, I would like to just put out CJ, Norman Powell, Derrick Jones Jr., start him. We might need him in the playoffs. Got to get him re-engaged. I bet you he's not happy, and he shouldn't be happy with how he's been benched. So put him out there at the starting 3. Run a lot of stuff through Nurkic. You got a lob threat there in Derrick Jones Jr. Throw out Covington, of course, and Nurkic as the starting 4 and 5, and just go into that game that way, and just hope these guys defend and play defense. That's kind of what I would do next game. I mean, this should be a game where we have enough defensive players where we shouldn't even have to worry about if we're making threes at a high rate or not in order to win the game. Because it's a team that's struggled to score. In their last 4 games, they've had 96 points against Toronto, 104 against Orlando, 93 against Washington, and 107 against Miami. So this isn't a team we should struggle to defend against.
Absolutely agree. And then just to let people know, if you're asking for the Stotts interview, it has not been posted on the Blazers channel yet. I don't know if they're going to post it or not tonight. But if anyone has a link to that, just let Tori or I know, or DM it to one of us on Twitter, if you would, please.
Yep. If it doesn't get posted relatively soon, then might not end up watching it. This stream's probably going to be a little shorter. We're at 50 minutes right now. We'll keep this to around an hour 20, an hour 30. A little bit shorter stream. We streamed earlier today for you guys, so we've pretty much Eric, we had an efficient stream in terms of covering everything I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, because we could talk about individual players, I guess. You know, Dame has a good shooting game. Good to see. I've always noticed this in the past. Obviously, the way I shoot in an empty gym has no effect on how Damian Lillard shoots. But for whatever reason, if I'm shooting poorly, just like going to the gym and getting up shots and I'm shooting poorly, Dame, for whatever reason, will also shoot poorly. If I go to the gym and I'm shooting the ball really well, Dame, for whatever reason, will shoot the ball very well. I've barely been going to the gym in the past month, right? But then 3 days ago, I get in the gym and I was shooting from 30. I swear, I probably shot about 80 shots from 30 feet and made 50 of them. Okay? That's pretty impressive from 30 feet. I was on fire, all right? Now Dame's starting to shoot better. I don't know. Correlates for whatever reason. Obviously, correlation doesn't equal causation, but it seems like there's something there. I don't know, man. Maybe me channeling my inner Dame and shooting well means Dame then channels me shooting well into shooting well in games. I don't know.
Next time you shoot poorly and Dame sucks, I am 100% blaming you now. Thank you.
Sure, I will take on the responsibility.
Why didn't you shoot better in practice today, Tori?
But I figured something out with my shot, so hopefully I'm able to continue to shoot well for the Blazers' sake, honestly. Mm-hmm. Just there's some sort of connection there. But
you're like some sort of weird Damian Lillard voodoo doll or something.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't want to be. That's a lot of pressure for me, man.
Yeah.
I got to make sure my shot is dialed in for the playoffs. I got to make sure I'm ready for the playoffs, man. That's basically the way it is. Maybe I am Dame's cousin. Man, I wish I was Dame's cousin. I would have played a little bit tonight. That would have been dope. I would have made some threes. I got us back in the game, man.
76ers win and cover the spread.
Good. Thank goodness. I'm still alive in picks against the spread. That would have been a dagger for me. The Knicks right now are up 11 against the Grizzlies. So the Grizzlies are going to likely lose and fall back to 500. Grizzlies are going to lose this game. The Warriors will be in 8th place after the Grizzlies lose this game. Because the Warriors won tonight. They beat New Orleans. Yep. That was one of the picks I got wrong. And they're now a game above 500. Memphis loses this, they are even at 500. So they've struggled, even though they beat us twice in a row and kind of dominated us for stretches. So, you still got the Spurs a game back of the Warriors right now. They're losing by 14 to Utah. So the Spurs could still make the 8th seed at this point. Those three teams are kind of in a gaggle at the bottom. I can't believe I just used the word gaggle, but in a group 8th, 9th, 10th.
And obviously, all right, I guess this might not be obvious, but in my opinion, if just in case we fall to the 7th, I would prefer it to be either Memphis or San Antonio versus Golden State.
You wouldn't want us to run drop scheme all game and Curry to have 72 on us?
In a one-game set with the Warriors, I would have nightmares of Steph Curry hitting open threes and us not adapting to that, and then also Draymond Green just grabbing rebounds and going coast to coast and no one picking up ball and laying it in, like I do still from the Western Conference Finals. But
maybe Eric,
I prefer not to have to beat them and then have to beat the winner of the other game.
Maybe we need to avenge our demons from the past in order to truly get over the hump.
I mean, I'd rather just avenge those by winning in the playoffs than
we gotta avenge our Warriors demons. But wouldn't. I mean,
here's the deal. Because if they're not the 8th and we're the 7th, and we lose that first game, then we have to beat them, and we can avenge them then and make the 8th seed, I guess.
Knowing us, DeMar DeRozan will hit like 5 threes against us in the playoff game, in the play-in game. Would it be a sweep if we lost in the play-in to the Warriors? I mean, they would have swept us in the play-in game, so I mean, it'd be just another sweep to the Warriors.
I guess, technically.
Yeah.
I don't know, like in baseball, when you lose the wild card, is that a sweep?
I mean... I don't know.
It would go
that's
on
up for chat
that,
to decide.
Curry is 10-0 against Dame in the playoffs, that would be another one.
What's
right?
up? Yeah. What's up, Gabe?
Gabe.
He asked what happened tonight. We lost by a score 122 to 113.
Oh man, you went that route.
Okay, Gabe. The summary for this game. By the way, if you don't know Gabe, Valley Podcasts, he covers Suns games, does post-game shows much like we do for Suns games. So if we play him in the playoffs, we'll do some collaborative stuff. We've had him on before. But I've never seen a team hit so many threes, Gabe, simply because we are 10 feet off the guy who's one pass away. And I know you played basketball, so I know you know when you're one pass away, you're not supposed to be 10 feet off a shooter, especially when they've hit 6 threes already in the first half. But we did that. Bogdanovic has 7 threes against us in the first half, lights us up. Gallinari had his turn in the second half with us sagging 10 feet off him when we were one pass away. Just absolutely silly. You have Melo as the safety off a missed free throw, the only guy who was supposed to be back, and he comes up and guards Solomon Hill 60 feet away from the basket, and a guy streaks right behind him for a lane. Just those types of mistakes define this game defensively. That's basically the summary, the quick summary for this game.
Yep. That about sums it up.
Yeah, and if anybody is just tuning into the stream, that is what we talked about for the first 30 to 40 minutes about this one.
And Gabe probably has one eye on us and one eye on the Jazz Spurs, and the Jazz are absolutely dominating the Spurs right now.
Does it even matter if the Suns are the first or second seed? I mean, they probably want to be the first seed, so they would likely avoid the Lakers. But
yeah, like you said, the nightmare scenario, I'm sure Gabe would back this up. If the Lakers get healthy but fall to the play-in game, and then they have Schroeder, LeBron, and AD all back for the playoffs, and then it's 2 versus 7, Suns versus Lakers, I'm sure that's a nightmare. I talked about my nightmares for Gabe. That's probably his nightmare scenario right now. Get punished for being the second seed. Meanwhile, Denver or the Clippers at the 3 seed get us in Dallas instead.
Yeah, that's a nightmare scenario for them. Somebody said interview is up. You got to DM me the link, guys. You got to just DM me the link. Because I checked my DMs. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Also, if you've sent a message before that I've never responded to, I honestly always forget to check my message requests. So don't take it personally.
It's Hollywood.
Yeah, just too Hollywood for you guys, man. I'm actually a closeted Laker fan because I went Hollywood, and so really hoping the Lakers get the Suns in the first round. Easy win.
Dame, a 4-minute Dame interview on Carmelo Anthony making the top 10 of all time is up, but no Stotts interview.
Yeah, I don't care to hear that Carmelo Anthony is 10th all time. I care about wins, not legacy of individual players.
That is spreading of false information, Isaac. Please stop.
And he wonders why I won't make him a mod. And he wonders why. And then he complains, oh, you guys are airing me out on stream when it's his own doing. So, yeah. Get out with that. Thank goodness they didn't take Mac Jones. So it's up on the website. I don't like watching it straight off the website.
But Ethan Pettit has asked this question a few times. What do we think of Dame to the Knicks rumors? 0 chance. No chance. It's the dumbest thing ever. I hate when people think they're going to get Dame in the offseason, or especially for 3 first-round picks and not having to give up any young players. And there's no chance. So yeah, it's not even worth mentioning. Dame is not going anywhere. So
yeah.
I mean, I would, if you said CJ instead of Dame, I would maybe say there's an outside chance, because the Knicks are one of the teams that have the salary cap space potentially to bring him on without giving up a ton in return, and could also give a rebuilding team that wouldn't want CJ a bunch of picks and young players for him. But I don't think Dame will be traded, and there's no reason for the Blazers to trade him. He's under contract for several more years, and they have no reason to do so.
Yep. So, is there anything we're gonna rage at in this Stotts interview? If not, I don't want to watch it.
Okay. Has anyone watched it?
If we're not gonna rage at, and people want us to watch this, they're gonna be like, yeah, you guys are gonna be pissed. No, I want you to tell the truth. Are we gonna rage at this interview or not? If we're not gonna rage, I ain't watching it, okay? I only watch Terry Stotts to rage at him because obviously I'm not gonna enjoy it. I would just rather feel something. So it's either be bored or rage, okay? I want to feel something. I'll take the rage, all right? So if I'm not going to rage, there's no point. That's basically how I feel about Stotts interviews.
Yeah, according to Gabe, so they're going to get Booker and Dame, man, without giving up Randall or Quickly or Toppin. And yeah.
Yep.
That'd be quite the feat there.
It's $3 play-by-play donation. Says Terry time.
Oh, okay. You have to do it now.
Appreciate it. I can't be bribed, bro. I can't let myself be bribed.
Oh, man.
I appreciate the donation from play-by-play $3 donation. Did you intend that to be a bribe? Yes or no? And this might be a trick question.
Yeah, Elfrid Payton and... I'm just trying to think who else they have. Elfrid Payton and Alec Burks for Devin Booker. They might throw in a couple seconds. My mom says, Tori, just listen. You have to listen to my mom.
Oh, no. I don't like peer pressure. I don't respond the way my peers want me to peer pressure, okay? That's always been the thing. So if you guys are trying to peer pressure me, it's not going to work. Your mom's trying to peer pressure me. I'll do it for your mom. Okay, there. I got the DM. Let me click off a tweet telling Tanner to be better. Shout out to Tanner if he's in here, man. Don't listen to them haters. Appreciate
T-Butt or Tanner McTanner?
Tanner McTanner. Blazers legend Tanner McTanner, man.
All right.
Apparently any fan base trashing our team is due to him somehow. But anyway, let's listen to this interview. By the way, if you don't follow us on Twitter, it's a great time on Blazers Twitter. It's a great time to be alive on Blazers Twitter. So follow us or join Blazers Twitter. If you're not on Twitter already, just join Blazers Twitter, give us a follow, and see all the phenomenal stuff that goes down there over on that app. So at Tory Jones YT for me, at Hoopshock for Eric, at Blazers Uprise YT for the channel. If you haven't already followed us. The quote for Terry Stotts' interview is, "You appreciate the greatness of those players." Okay, so I'm going to be mad if it's not something raging. If it's just like, yeah, Melo is 10th all time and he's a phenomenal player and just go Melo. His legacy, we love it here in Portland. We got to protect that at all costs. If that's the interview, I'm going to be disappointed in chat.
Play-by-play with another $5 dono says Tanner McTanner in my group chat. He's goated.
Tanner McTanner. Nice.
Yep.
Man, I'm sitting here giving support to Tanner, and I don't even know if he's watching this. It hurts, man.
Yeah. Do you know why he's getting the blame?
Why?
Because after every win lately, he posts like literally 50 "you lost to" memes under every other team's like social media posts.
Those are funny. If people post that on ours, like that, I laugh too. You lost to Tony Snell. Cool.
But yeah, Trevor says it's closer to 100 now, but I think it's just like they can't even have discussions under there because it's just hundreds of Tanner McTanner. You just lost 2 memes.
And then you got Miss Be a Better Human. Oh, these memes! Like freaking out the dang memes. Like it's a meme. Relax. Quit being sensitive. Yeah, so we got the Terry Stotts interview queued up.
All right.
I'm ready to go. Okay, well, biofreeze is on the screen. How do I click play without clicking on the biofreeze video? Use as directed. Let me refresh it. Terry?
The more you understand your insurance, the more successful you can be. I love explaining.
There we go. Country Financial. All right, man. They're cheating on biofreeze with Country Financial. It's sus of the Blazers, man. All right, here you go. Here you guys go. This is what you guys
for
wanted.
Coach Stotts, please use the
Guys and
raise hand
gals.
feature.
Oh, glasses.
Yeah, he has to read the stat sheet. Normally they cut out the start of them. I don't know why. Have you noticed that lately?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why, but
If you have
glasses
questions
Terry.
for Coach Stotts, please use the raise hand feature.
Use the raise hand feature. I've never used Zoom. I didn't know that was a thing. Hello?
Someone ask a question?
First question's coming from Raphael Haynes with 3 Point Conversation Radio.
Who? What?
Hey, Coach, Raphael Haynes from the 3 Point Conversion. Coach,
3-point conversation.
when the opposite team shooting threes like that, what do you say to your team? It's like they were hot tonight, and was it anything else you could have done to keep up or stop them?
Well, you got to give him credit. Bogdanovich was hot in the first half, and Gallinari was hot in the second half. And those two guys made the difference from the three-point line. So, we tried to be aggressive with Young. Obviously, when you commit two guys to a ball, that it's going to open up some opportunities. To be honest, I thought some of their threes were decently contested. So you got to give them credit for shooting the ball really well. But it comes and goes. Like Bogdanovich goes 7 for 9 in the first half and goes 0 for 5 the second half. Gallo didn't do much the first half, and he goes 6 for 7 in the second half. So the 3-point line can be a little streaky. You kind of have to play the odds sometimes.
Gotta play the odds, guys. That's we just played the odds and we lost, and but we can go back to our Vegas hotel room and enjoy the rest of the night. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna celebrate Melo's 10th place scoring all time with some wine, and we're gonna forget the fact that we played the odds tonight and it didn't work out in our favor, man, because that's all defense is in the NBA. It's just playing the odds, and it's just a gamble, and sometimes, man, you roll the dice and they come up snake eyes, and that's what happened tonight. Actually, they came up threes for the Hawks, and nothing you can do about that.
I don't feel like they sold out really to stop. It's not like they were trapping him or double teaming him that much. They were hedging and recovering, right?
Yeah, that's completely different than the situations they give up threes.
Yeah, they weren't selling out to double team him, leaving a 4-on-3 advantage, right? For the most part, most of those situations they recovered back to their guy. So I don't like that excuse. I don't like when someone says that most of the threes were decently contested when they weren't. It's just like, I don't know, that's no accountability. It's just
yep.
Oh, what are you gonna do?
Yep, we weren't selling out to stop. We're selling out to stop Trae Young in the pick and roll, and then when we're not in the pick and roll, the guy one pass away is 10 feet off the guy's guard, and then they'll pass to him and he hits a three. Those two things have nothing to do together, and he correlated and acted like sell it out to stop Trae Young in the pick and roll had something to do with the threes we gave up when it didn't. Just like Mike Richmond.
And this just plays right into, and this is why all these people love him, all these pro Stotts media people, because he gives them the exact quotes they need to back up their stupid arguments, right? See, we sold out to stop Trae Young and it didn't work. Nice try, Tori. You're an idiot, right? That's basically what what Stotts is confirming for all these people. And it just drives me crazy if you are actually watching the game and paying attention. That's not even what happened. And Terry's trying to pass it off like that's what killed us in this game when it wasn't that at all.
Yep. All right. Well, felt a little bit of rage bubble inside me. Not enough for me to be satisfied, but enough to keep me interested in the rest of this interview. So let's move on.
Casey Holdall, trailblazers.com.
Terry, just outside of the three-point shooting, because I know that sometimes, there's debates about how much the defense matters in that regard. How would you look at your defense tonight after having really 4 really good games defensively?
You're right. I think it's difficult to gauge to see how they got their threes because the 3-point line. Look, Boston last night shot it really well. So, matter of fact, we shot it well tonight too. So, what I look at is were they well contested? Our priorities as far as Trae Young, who's a key to their team. How many points in the paint? Their offensive rebounding. So I thought we did a decent job in a lot of ways, but the 3-point shot was a huge difference.
Do you have anything to say to that?
Well, the only thing I'll say is, if you're saying, well, we tried to take out Trae Young, and I think we did well for that for the most part. Well, then you had the wrong game plan. If we still gave up a ton of points on defense, and also, I disagree that they really did much different to take him out, other than Nurk was hedging picks like he has been doing the last few games, but. How often does our defense sell out to stop someone truly? It's not that often. Even when Tatum's going crazy or whatever, we have Dame switch to him in the second half. It's not like we were double teaming him or anything, right? So it just that bugs me that now all of a sudden he's going to try to blame it all on us trying to stop one person, when how many times over the years have we just let another player on another team go crazy and have career highs and just shoot the lights out against us, and we don't seem to want to stop him or sell out to stop that person at all. So I feel like he's just full of crap right now. So
as always, nothing changed, nothing new, different day, same thing. Were you gonna say something else, or you want me to play?
Nope.
Okay.
Jamie Hudson, NBC Sports Northwest.
Hey, Coach, what do you know about Dame's foot, and what was the conversation like before deciding to keep him in the game?
What was the conversation like for what?
When you found out he was going to return like he always does, but how did you know he was good to go?
To be honest, I don't have an update. He hurt his ankle during the timeout. I asked if he was still in the game, and he was still in the game. So that's all I know.
What?
White James, NBC Sports.
Okay, I assume it's the medical staff's call, and he got the clear from the medical staff, and then that's what Terry was. I don't know. But why isn't Terry communicating with the medical staff in his? I don't know. Eric, do you know?
No idea.
No idea.
He's according to everyone telling me on Twitter, Dame determines what minutes he plays, and Stotts has no say in it. And if Dame wants to play 40 minutes, he's going to play 40 minutes no matter what, and Stotts has no influence or say in the matter. So
basically Dame coaches the team and Stotts does it, and there's nothing Stotts can do as coach. Therefore, he's a great coach that should always be coach.
Yeah.
Right?
For as long as Dame's here, because that's what Dame likes, is him not saying anything to him.
Yes.
Sports Northwest.
So Terry, he decides whether to stay in or training staff, or it didn't look like an ankle. It looked like the guy came down on top of his foot.
Yeah, well, it's a combined decision. Obviously, we would not put him out there. The health and performance department wouldn't put him out there if he was at risk. So you take the athletes.
Wait. Let me just stop you right there. Terry Stotts, remember Rodney Hood having a sore Achilles, and then the medical staff puts him out there, and then he tears his Achilles? Yeah, I wouldn't say that with confidence, men. Would not say that with confidence, but I mean, that's not. I don't know. That's the medical staff's fault for doing that with Rodney Hood, I guess. But I mean, I would have that much confidence in them. They have put out a player in the past when he's at risk of further injury, and they basically ruined his career because of it.
Is the medical staff suggesting Dame plays 38 to 40 minutes a game with his current injuries and hamstring situation and all that? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah.
Are they saying, like, you know what would be really good for an injury that needs rest? Just play him more, Terry. Just put him out more. Don't take him out at all. Just have him play the whole game. Like, that's probably better. I don't know. So he goes with what they say for this, but not... trying to reduce or limit his minutes or play him in shorter spurts or try something to get his body in a little better condition for the playoffs. That doesn't make sense to me. But.
Yep, let's move on. We are almost halfway through.
It's a combined decision. Obviously, we would not put him out there. The health and performance department wouldn't put him out there if he was at risk. So you take the athlete's viewpoint if he's able to go, and you make a medical decision. Obviously, those are the two that make the decision, and if they're able to go, then I make the decision whether I want him in or not.
Aaron Fentress, the Oregonian.
Coach Nurkic had been playing really well, had an off night tonight. It was a back-to-back. Do you think that impacted him at all? And you guys had avoided some back-to-backs with him in the past.
Yeah, and he was on minute restriction tonight at 25 minutes, so he wasn't going to be able to finish the game anyway. He's been playing really well, and this was a tough back-to-back. It was a tough game last night in Boston, the travel, obviously. So, I thought the guys that played the minutes last night and then tonight, they put it all out there. But Nurk's been playing well, and it shows for us as a team.
Anything you want to say about the minutes restriction, Nurkic, any of
that? If it was a rough game last night, why are you leaning so heavy on those guys tonight? That's kind of our point, is to give Giles a shot or give Nas a shot, and give Derek Jones a shot to get some minutes if those guys are a little worn out and on a minutes restriction tonight. I don't understand. Everything he says baffles me.
Yep.
You talked in the past about how, of course, you follow the standings, et cetera, and coming into tonight, after everything you guys had been to, you guys found yourself in a three-way tie for fifth still. What does that say about basically the team's resolve to stick with whatever you were trying to figure out and still be in this position, even though you lost?
What? What?
Even though you lost.
What? Bro, Fentress. Okay, I'll play the answer.
It's Fentress. What are you gonna say?
Oh my goodness. Let's re-listen to that. Just for fun.
You guys found yourself in a three-way tie for fifth still. What does that say about basically the team's resolve to stick with whatever you were trying to figure out and still be in this position, even though you lost tonight?
It's I've been at this a long time, and the NBA season's a long season. There's highs and lows. You got to fight through the tough times. And I think one of the things that we've done in Portland is we've kept competing. And the fact that we won 4 in a row on the road, as I said, even during the losing streak, is that I trust the character of this team. So we came out and competed for 5 games. We won 4 of them. We got to finish it off in Cleveland. But that, I think it speaks a lot to not only the talent of our players, but their character and their desire to win.
Thanks.
Cliches on cliches on cliches.
Coach, you've now coached 2 guys in the top 10 in scoring in the NBA. You see any similarities or common thread between Dirk and Melo, or people of that caliber?
Those 2 guys in particular are ultimate professionals in my mind. I had them both later in their career. Dirk was kind of not that late, but obviously Mel in the last couple of years. They have a defined game. They take their craft very seriously. They're competitive. They take care of themselves. The longevity of both their careers speaks a lot to their mental makeup and what it takes to have a career that lasts that long. And in Melo's case, the fact that he had 2 years, well, he's out for a year, and to come back is even more remarkable.
And last question is coming from Chris Saltis with Sport DNA.
Coach, what it means for you to have a player like Melo after that special night for him?
I always appreciate greatness, and whether it's a player that I am coaching or coaching against. And Melo is a great player. He's a Hall of Fame player, and is, like Jason asked me about Dirk. When you have guys like that, and I've been fortunate enough to be with some many great players, but as long as I've been in this league, you appreciate the greatness of those players. And so a guy like Melo, to be with him at this stage of his career is a little bit more special in some ways because of where he is in his career and the milestones that he's surpassing at this stage of his career.
All right, we're going to wrap there. Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Melo, go Melo. Go Team Melo. What are your thoughts, Eric, on team on Melo and his legacy and all that?
I mean, Melo has had a great career.
Great. That's not good enough. Great is not a good enough adjective, Eric.
I think some of the hate towards him in the latter stages of his career, especially in OKC and Houston, were a little unwarranted. I mean, some of that was, but I think overall, he got scapegoated in a lot of those situations. But I mean, it's hard to deny that someone who is one of the 10 all-time leading scorers in the game of basketball, when that's the main objective of the game, is not a great player. So he absolutely has had a good career, and it's cool to see someone on our team that is, top 10 scorer of all time. But it's too bad it happened in a game like this.
Yeah. This interview left me unsatisfied. I wanted to rage a little bit more. Instead, I fell asleep, man. I don't know how long I was asleep for, but my goodness. Anyway, that's Terry Lynn Stotts, right? That's his middle name, right? Lynn?
I think so.
He should live in West Lynn. Rename it to Terry Lynn. Anyway, I'm still waking up, so bad jokes are going to be a thing for a bit. So anyway, that's the Stotts interview. Hope you guys are satisfied. Are you satisfied, Eric?
Nah.
Yeah.
Nuggets Lakers tied halfway through the third. Spurs down. They've cut it to 15 with 10 minutes left. Hopefully they have a chance to cover the spread still. We all had none of us picked the Lakers or Jazz, so that doesn't matter, I guess.
Tony White says, Tori, when are people playing pickup at Lakeshore? Honestly, man, I haven't been able to play pickup in 3 weeks, so I don't know. People aren't. I'm not in the loop on that, and bringing up, my rec league or anything related to me playing basketball triggers some people in chat, so we're not gonna. You can. Text me, maybe, if my number's on one of the old men's league sheets, and I will let you know if we ever set up some pickup basketball at Lakeshore. For everybody in chat, we will have pickup runs once we can, occasionally. Hopefully in the summer sometime, I'm not sure, but we will try and have some pickup runs. That would be a good off-season thing. Taylor Packer knows what's up, except it's not Chieftains anymore. We are now the Rapids, Columbia River Rapids now, so... At least it wasn't. They had to rename it. They actually renamed it about 2 weeks ago. The choices were the Captains, the Columbia River Captains, the Columbia River Rapids, and the Columbia River Purple Ride. Thank goodness it wasn't the Purple Ride. What a terrible name.
What does that even mean?
That was like the soccer moms contribution. That was their name that they contributed, I'm guessing, because I don't know who in the world came up with that, but I don't know. It's kind of sad because my mom, I don't know, like I get it and I agree with it, but my mom was a chieftain and I was a chieftain, so but you gotta.
Bodie McBoatface wasn't an option.
Bodie McBoat. I mean, that would have been better than Purple Ride, honestly. But Rapids is cool, I guess. Columbia River Rapids. I don't know, but yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm running out of steam on this post game show, man.
A lot of people missed our show earlier today, so I am going to once again talk about Kevin Love. Zero chance. Don't even worry about it. Don't even think about it. He makes $60 million over the next 2 years. He is a terrible player at this point of his career. There's no chance we trade for him over the next 2 years. There's a small outside chance at the end of the season, not next year, but the year after that, he gets bought out and becomes a free agent in the buyout market towards the end of that season. Maybe we pick him up then. Other than that, there is zero chance before that point, the buyout market, 2 seasons from now, of that happening. So, yeah, not going to happen.
Well, why is this even a conversation? Because I missed the why this became a conversation today.
Kevin Love was on with Chris Haynes, or had an article with Chris Haynes, and he mentioned how much respect he had for Damian Lillard, how he wanted to play with him. He mentioned Terry Stotts. He mentioned wanting to come home at some point in his career and how great the fans are here and all this stuff. Basically, the opposite of things he said about Portland and not wanting to come home and stuff beforehand. But, yeah, so that's got everyone to think, oh, he's going to come to Portland. We're going to trade for him or whatever. Like, yeah. And then you got guys like my favorite person, Eric Griffith, saying that Olshey needs to do everything he can to try and get Kevin Love this summer. And when asked how he would do that because of his contract, I don't know. He just has to be savvy and creative and figure out a way to do it.
Bro, he labels himself a cap expert, Eric.
I know.
And he can't even come.
Well,
bro,
no.
If you're a CBA expert or a salary cap expert, what were you going to say?
This is the guy who was pissed because he said the Blazers organization doesn't care about winning because the Cleveland Cavaliers wouldn't accept a sign-in trade for Kevin Love earlier. So, he blocked me because I was like, why are you guys talking about sign-in trades? It's a waste of time. And I got blocked by him for that. But whatever. It turned out to be right. Whiteside signed for the minimum somewhere, so he had absolutely no value in a sign and trade.
But Eric, we could have signed and traded him, signed him to $25 million a year to match Kevin Love's salary. Why didn't Olshey do that? He's not creative enough. I don't care that he signed for $2 million. Olshey, if he was just creative, man, could have signed him to $25 million and then gotten Cleveland to taking that $25 million for Kevin Love, too. Like, bro, that whole thing last summer, we told you guys we weren't going to sign and trade Hassan Whiteside for anything. And people really thought we were about to sign and trade Hassan Whiteside for LaMarcus Aldridge or Kevin Love, and a team was going to be willing to pay him $20 million when there was one team in the league that paid him the minimum. I mean, my goodness.
There was a reason why anytime someone brought up a Hassan Whiteside sign and trade, it automatically triggered me. And I said that every single time, too. I was very adamant about that, and it played out that way. But yeah, so
Griffith was like raising that as a possibility, and he's the only guy that like covers the team that like kind of tries to call himself a cap or a CBA expert. That's why Blazers Uprise is your number one stop for the offseason, especially, right? We try and provide you in-depth analysis on games, but for the offseason, it seems like nobody knows what they're talking about when it comes to roster construction, the CBA, and the cap, how the cap works and all that, because you got the one cap expert in the community literally saying Olshey just needs to find ways to be creative and match salary for Kevin Love, and we can just sign and trade Hassan Whiteside and all this type of stuff that just makes absolutely no sense, and he can't even explain it. That's the other cap expert in the community. I will be cocky. Maybe this is cocky. I don't care. Me and Eric have studied the CBA like nerds, all right? We know the CBA. We know the salary cap. We know how roster construction works. So if anybody is the CBA expert or the cap expert that covers this team, it's me and Eric. So that's why this is your number one stop for this offseason.
And so Austin says K-Love would be better than Cantor. No, Cantor for $5 million or $6 million is way better than paying Kevin Love $30 million for the next 2 years. And Love is an expiring contract. So we have an option to not have either on our team and have a much better option than either of those guys.
We'd have to trade out $25 million to get Kevin Love. And you got people saying, Olshey just got to find a way. It's not hard to add up salaries to $25 million, and that's what it takes. So either you're trading CJ for him, or you're trading Rocco, Derrick Jones Jr., and something else for him.
But that's what the conversation turned to, was if you traded CJ for him, then you could get other assets and ways to fill out your bench.
Yeah.
You can't make this stuff up. Yeah, it's so dumb. I mean, this is what we talk about when people say like Olshey just needs to make moves. He would be the dumbest GM ever, and I'm so glad these fools aren't our GMs. Because honestly, like that would just, having Kevin Love for $30 million on the season, I would rather have re-signed Gary Trent or Norman Powell to a max contract than sign Kevin Love or trade for Kevin Love at $30 million for 2 more seasons after this one.
Dude.
And I mean, Kevin Love was a good player at one point. He is not worth anything more than maybe the tax mid-level exception at this point of his career. He would not provide a single thing that we need, and we think it's bad having Cantor out there right now. Like having a Cantor level defender but paying him $30 million, that's just, I mean, I don't understand why people would even think of that.
Defensively, he's Enes Kanter, but 4 inches shorter, okay? Like, our problem is defense. Why would we want to go out and get Kevin Love and trade, like, Rocco and Derrick Jones Jr. for him? Rocco, our best defender. It makes absolutely no sense. The dude this year, like, he's always hurt, okay? In 2018-2019, plays 22 games. Last season, he was relatively healthy, played 56 games. This season, he's played 21 games. Okay, he's constantly hurt. He's aging. He is an absolute sieve defensively. Melo is better defensively than him at this point, in my opinion. Bro, I would rather have Melo in general. Yeah. And that's coming from me.
And Melo's making the minimum too, not $30 million. If it was both making $30 million, maybe you could make the argument. But I don't think any person could make an argument that they'd rather have Kevin Love at $30 million a season versus Melo at the minimum contract.
He's currently shooting 40% from the field and 35% from 3.
And as WN says, Melo, I mean, outside of the Kobe game and the health and safety protocols where he missed a game this season, has he missed any other games for Portland with injuries or anything?
He's been healthy.
Maybe like one or two, but for the most part, he's durable. He's like, they're available, and that's a good skill to have. And when you're making $30 million and you're hardly ever available, that's just a killer for a salary cap and for a team's flexibility to put a good roster around Dame. I don't understand why anyone would ever think that's a good idea.
Yeah, but I mean, Olshey has to get him for whatever reason, because he wants to be here and he's a cool big name, and Olshey just has to be savvy and creative and just like make the NBA like relax their trade rules for him. He has to he don't gotta negotiate with Cleveland. He gotta negotiate with the NBA, Eric, and get the NBA to give him a pass on following trade rules so that he can go out and get Kevin Love.
The Warriors had that trade exception from the Iguodala trade, and they brought in Kelly Oubre with it this summer without sending back like matching salary. And that cost him like 80-some million in tax just to bring on Oubre this year. And then Klay Thompson goes down. Or no, that happened after the Klay Thompson trade, but they still thought it was going to be like a good move. But this is basically what this guy is trying to promote, is that if Portland isn't willing to make moves like that, all they care about is making money and they don't care about winning. And that's just such a stupid mindset to say. Like, no, they care about being smart and putting a good team around Dame and not handicapping them for the next 2 years with Kevin Love's boat contract on our books.
Yeah.
Like,
Trevin said he was saying to sign and trade Powell for Love. Did he not learn from the sign and trade Whiteside stuff? I mean, Powell will get a better contract, but dude, Cleveland ain't going to want him. It would take a team wanting Norman Powell, who doesn't have cap space, but then why would we want to lose Powell and get Kevin Love, bro? Our defense is the problem, right? And people say that's due to personnel. People like him say that our defense sucks because of personnel, but then they want to get rid of Norman Powell to get Kevin Love.
So let me ask you a question. Melo doesn't count as having an all-star around Dame, right?
Nope.
So Kevin Love doesn't either, right?
Nope.
Like
was that an argument that people tried to make?
Well, like, so you bring up like Denver. People say like you can't do anything. You can't be a contender with one all-star. It's like, well, Denver only has one all-star, and they bring up, well, Paul Millsap was an all-star, but like not with Denver.
Yeah.
And he's old now, right? So like that doesn't count. Or if anything, you signed or traded for him when he was coming off an all-star year, and then he wasn't an all-star anymore. So isn't that more of an indictment that you got a player that deteriorated in talent versus had like an increase or at least average or like maintained his talent level? So yeah, just these people try to make up the dumbest arguments for why Olshey sucks. And like, honestly, the last couple of years, I think he's been one of the better GMs in the league. And he's not perfect. No GM's perfect. He deserves criticism for the way he did handle like the Whiteside and Scal situations last year. But other than that, I don't really. I'm not sitting here like. That was the whole. I went back to that same conversation we were talking about last night. Like, why didn't he trade for Kawhi Leonard? Why didn't he trade for Jimmy Butler? All that kind of crap. Because there was this team called the Golden State Warriors that had Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. And like any team that would have sold out their future to try and beat that team would have been incredibly stupid. And that's what these people aren't realizing in hindsight. It's like so dumb. And like, yeah, you can go back to 2016, like Taylor Packer says, but like, I mean, I've said this before. I like to split it up pre-Paul Allen's death and after Paul Allen's death. I'm not saying that Paul Allen wasn't like a crucial, like we might not even have basketball if it wasn't for Paul Allen. If I was an owner, I would absolutely meddle and want to say in GM and personnel decisions and all that stuff, and probably to a fault. So I don't blame Paul Allen one bit, but ever since that passing, Olshey has done nothing but make solid, good moves, in my opinion, while also being financially responsible for Jody. And I can't really put anything on him bad, at least fire-worthy, since Paul Allen's death.
Yeah. I mean, the narratives around Olshey and Stotts will continue to be completely strange and non-logical, and that's not going to change. I mean, until Stotts gets fired, but then it will be all this type of stuff on Olshey times 10, and I'm not excited for that. So yeah, we'll keep you covered here going into the off season after the playoffs. We'll see if the Blazers can make a playoff run. They're in the thick of things right now for 5th, 6th, and 7th. We'll see what seed they end up with. Only a few games left this season. There's only, 7 games left? 72 minus this game 65, 7 games left? Yeah, 7 games left for the Blazers. So in less than 2 weeks, we should know if they're in a play-in position or if they have their first-round matchup set as like a 4-5 matchup or a 3-6 matchup, if they're able to make one of those. Right now, I mean, we might be alone in 7th because the Lakers are actually leading the Nuggets 65-63. That game has a minute and a half left in the third quarter. Pretty low-scoring game for today's NBA. That game's on ESPN, so you guys will be able to catch the end of that game if you have ESPN.
Just to clarify, we're not alone in 7th. We just have the tiebreaker
Well, no, we lost today, so we're half a game behind Dallas, and if the Lakers win, we'll be
okay. Yeah, I thought
a
I was
game behind them.
Never mind. You're right.
Yeah,
You're
so we'd be alone in 7th. Yeah. So yeah, keeping me on my toes, but I nailed
sorry.
it. It's all good.
Yeah, you got it.
Appreciate it. Got to get things right. That's what
Spurs.
we care about.
If the Spurs would just like to not win, but just cut the lead to like 7 here at the end, that'd be nice.
I mean, we all picked the Spurs.
I know.
So nobody doubled down.
I just like to have a better record.
Yeah. Well, you're getting a little greedy there, Mr. First Place. Just be happy with your first place, man, because
that benefits all of us to have our records look better.
Yeah.
And then we can say we're all...
I don't care about records. I just care about being first place. That's all I care about. I'm jealous. Yep. But yeah, I do get what you're saying. I don't want to be under 500. If I'm above 500, that does look better for me. Right. It looks like I know what I'm talking about.
You're a professional gambler.
Yes, I've never gambled on sports in my life, but yes, not promoting gambling here. All right, we don't lose your money, Reese. Reese will tell you he gambles for a living. Yeah. So anyway, that's gonna wrap up this stream. Gabe coming in here at the buzzer to say somebody say first place talking Suns. We are not talking Suns. We are talking Blazers, Gabe. We're going to wrap up this stream. I feel like I've had so much energy this stream. I am kind of tired right now. So I'm just going to wrap this up before I fall asleep again. The Blazers lose tonight 122 to 113 to the Atlanta Hawks. Lots of silly mental mistakes on the defensive end. Don't play one pass away, 10 feet away. All right, very simple. But the Blazers did not figure that out tonight, and they gave up 23 to the Atlanta Hawks, 14 combined to Danilo Gallinari and Bogdan Bogdanovic. So rough game for the Blazers. We'll see if they can bounce back, as they should in the next game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have lost 9 out of 10 games. We'll have you covered with that post-game show on Wednesday, so hopefully we're able to see you then. Anything left to say, Eric, that you want to get off your chest?
No, it's just obviously people are disappointed with the loss. We've had a lot of streams lately, so not quite the huge viewer count that we're accustomed to, but the ones that did come in and watch tonight, we really appreciate you guys. You're the true legends here, and we
about
appreciate
to say true Blazer fans and insult them.
No, and we appreciate you guys tuning in, even after a loss, and chilling with us tonight. And some of you were on the stream earlier, so had a lot of streams in lately, and it's going to continue as we ramp up towards the end of the season with a lot of games in a short amount of time, but we appreciate you guys.
Yep, I echo those sentiments exactly. We will catch you on Wednesday. Day off tomorrow. Nice to have. We've rarely had day off, so it'll be a little nice to have a day off tomorrow. And then Wednesday, Cavs better not lose. Let's watch Kevin Love drop 45 on us because we don't guard him, and then everybody say we need to trade for him or fire Olshey.
See if Olshey would have just traded for him.
Yep. Olshey needs to trade for him tomorrow. I don't care that the trade deadline's gone. He just needs to be savvy and creative, right? So, anyway. That wraps up this stream. We will catch you on Wednesday. Hope you have a good rest of your night and a good Tuesday ahead. Thank you for tuning in. I don't know. This outro feels weird, man. Follow us on Twitter. I felt like I needed to say something else. That was it. Follow us on Twitter if you haven't already. At Tori Jones YT for me. At HoopsJock for Eric. At Blazers Uprise YT for the channel. And we're out of here. We'll catch you on Wednesday. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.